Okie dokie. So, this is a haiku from my book, Psychology Haikus on the Anima. Lunar messenger, maiden, mother, and old crone, guide of his soul. So, let's jump in line by line. Lunar messenger. Lunar is a symbol for the mind. And the anima is a messenger of the mind, in particular the unconscious. So for men, this function of the mind, because that's what it is, it's a function, helps us to interact with our unconscious, our collective unconscious, the deeper levels of who we are. The anima appears as maiden, mother, and old crone. This is in particular in our dreams. So, fellas, when you have a dream and there is a woman figure in it, whether she is young, medium, medium level, whether she's a maiden, a mother, or old crone, which is an old woman, we have to be very attentive to these dreams because these dreams carry messages from our unconscious. And the unconscious doesn't do things just willy-nilly. These are personal guidance from deep in our being. So that leads to the last line, guide of our soul. His soul, sorry. Guide of his soul. So as a man, when we've exhausted reason and planning and trying to ensure that our future and the future of those that we love are safe and secure, when we've exhausted the conscious mind, where else can we go but deep within ourselves? And the answer that comes from deep within ourselves is delivered by the anima, by the inner feminine. So it's not just we have an inner feminine, it's that this is a function for us. And as I said, in dreams, if a woman appears, we have to be particularly interested. But let's get into some cool details about the anima that I got from Carl Jung's in his collective works, the book on archetypes and the collective unconscious. So the anima is an inherited image of the woman. That means from our ancestral bloodline, how our bloodline have experienced woman that is lodged in us, and we have a archetypal image of a woman. So that's one. It's not just from your mother. It's from your mother. We're right back. Two, it is autonomous, which means it has a will of its own, a function of its own that it needs to accomplish. Unless the anima is made conscious, it will be projected onto the world. What does that mean? It means that what's happening inside of you, you won't recognize it as happening inside of you. You will see it outside of you. So it falls on appropriate molds. As we say, who the cap fit, the anima will fall on. And who is that? That's your mother and the woman in your life. So it's extremely important to be conscious of this inner feminine, this inner function, or else you are going to be relating to women as if they were your inner feminine, which is a terrible misfortune for that woman, because you're not even talking to that woman, you're talking to your unresolved inner feminine, right? So that's a big one there. it manifests. Here are some ways that this unconscious anima projection manifests in your daily life as a man, in our romantic choices. So remember, this is a template, a female template that we have inside of us that we have received from our ancestors, as an important too from our mother and maybe our grandmother, and who the important female figures in our life. So this is a template that has been molded and given to us. So when we see women that exemplify these characteristics in our template, we become attracted to that because that is familiar for us. That is what we know as love. Now, that could be a problem. If you have had dysfunctional relationships with females in your life, in your mother, with your grandmother, with their ancestors, you may be attracted to something that is not healthy. Not on your own fault, but just because of this inner template, this anima figure that you have. Which is why it's extremely important to become aware of your inner feminine. So when when this anima figure, when the feminine in the man is not healthy, how does the man behave? He gets extremely moody. He becomes sentimental, dependent. So you will see like very strong macho men in work. You know them, your boss, your employee. They just full of themselves. But when they go back home, they are so bitey, impulsive. Any little thing, they just losing it. Like they have bachak in their pants, and it's that moody feminine inside of them that is unbalanced, not regulated, and autonomous, which means acting on their own. Another big thing, and you'd see this in male artists, especially in male artists, is that this inner feminine makes them believe that they are too special, too sensitive. They are not understood by the world. It's a dysfunctional feminine quality, an immature feminine inside of them. And what it boils down to is that this becomes like a vampire for the man, an inner vampire, an inner sukuya that drains him of his energy, that makes him dysfunctional, that is, but there's something in psychology called contextual functionalism. Basically, that means that all of your symptoms are serving a purpose, can be understood within a context. And what I love about Carl Jung is that he sees symptoms as the psyche crying out for help, trying to balance out itself. So when this dysfunctional anima is high in man, and you're thinking, what is wrong with him? He's losing it. It's a beautiful opportunity, because when you see the wound is when you can heal it. So when a man becomes very dysfunctional, that is when time has come for them to get help. And it is a grace, because unless the dysfunction happened, then the man wouldn't know that he had plenty of wounds inside of him and he need to go and get some help. So it's strange. It's difficult to deal with, but when you look at it through that perspective, it's a very beautiful opportunity for healing. So how do you integrate it? What the man have to do? Well, that man, he had to look inside As Jung would say, he has to make the unconscious conscious. How do you do that? Your awareness, what you're using now to absorb this video, you have to turn that inwards, especially in the moments when you're feeling moody, when you're feeling isolated, when you feel like you want to withdraw, when you want to go and return to the substance of your choice to escape from the world, when inside becomes so terrible and uncomfortable that you just want to do anything but feel what you are feeling at that moment, fellas. You have to turn your awareness inwards and point it directly at that feeling, because at that moment is your opportunity to meet your inner feminine. One thing we have to understand about these unconscious complexes or archetypes is that they are held together. The thing that holds them together and gives them life and energy are unresolved emotions, unprocessed libido. So they inside is the seed of a memory or trauma or something from your ancestors. Inside is that, and a very authentic archetype from the collective unconscious is inside of that. But what is feeding it, giving it energy to go and cause trouble in the conscious mind, is unprocessed emotion and libido. So when you turn your awareness onto this terrible mood, terrible thing that you're feeling, you give yourself the opportunity for a healing process called catharsis, which is where emotion is released, libido is released, and then the energy that was fueling this anima, this unhealthy feminine inside of you, that is released through the catharsis. And catharsis is an expression of emotion, an intense expression of emotion. So you may get angry, you may feel very sad, you may cry, you may get anxious, terrified. It's the whole spectrum of emotion might happen to you. But you have to remember that this is the release, this is the healing. This is when you take the pus out of the wound. It needs to happen. After that happens, then the strength or the independence of this complex, this anima, becomes less powerful. Also, this is extremely important. When you turn your awareness inwards and you look at the anima, you are beginning to understand and relate to your inner feminine. You, in this process, this uncomfortable process, you are beginning to develop a relationship with your anima. And it protects you in the future. Because let's say you have a house. The house is your mind. And this anima always sneaking through the back door, causing trouble upstairs. When you look at it and you understand how it's working, this complex, how it's working, then you know this is where it comes through. This is how it enters. This is what triggers me for this to happen, and that understanding protects you from future attacks from the anima. You go wait by the back door. When you hear the rustling outside, you go wait there, and you'll be aware. And when it comes to greet you, you shine your awareness on it. You will release the unprocessed emotions, and you'll develop a healthy relationship with your anima. Now to close, I recently found out this, and I needed to include this because it's so important. It's called the mana personality in man. Again, this is from Carl Jung. After you've done a lot of inner work and you've been able to process the the emotions that are lingering in this anima, the anima returns to its function as a messenger from the unconscious. But all of that power that it had, all of the catharsis that was released, if you now identify with that power, if you identify with the function of the anima, that you are the intermediary link between the conscious and the unconscious, you develop another complex called the magician. Now, fellas, I know, right? All of us, all of us want to be the magician. We want to be Gandalf, Dumbledore, Harry Potter, everybody. We love that feeling of being empowered within. And it is, in a sense, is a beautiful thing. It's a healthy part of our psyche, that ability to tap into the deep intuitive parts of ourselves, and we can be Gandalf the Grey and Sparrowhawk and all of them people. However, the magician, like the anima, is an archetype, meaning that it comes from the collective unconscious. So if you identify with the wizard, with the magician, you are sacrificing your individuality, who you are, for a collective personality, which means that you lose part of yourself and you become, who knows? Who knows the extent of what a magician is? This is why Carl Jung, his main method of healing is called individuation, which means becoming an authentic individual, being true to yourself, growing in yourself, not becoming a magician or a priest or a psychologist or being possessed by an archetype, but like a flower in the garden. You want that flower to be its original self. It's a shame if you lose that beauty of who you are because you can't manage what's going on inside of you and it takes over. So that's it for today. That haiku is from my book, Psychology Haikus. It is on Amazon. The link will be in the description or the comments or somewhere, I don't know. And I am a psychologist. I have a master's in psychology, so if there's anyone who watches this video and they need psychological services, please send me an email and we can move from there.